a bit of an unusual setting for this edition of the Four Golfers Network podcast and video, as we are in the offices of the Gaylord Convention and Visitors Center with my friends from the Gaylord Golf Mecca. It's winter, and yet a lot of you out there are thinking about what you're going to do this summer. And man, did a lot of you think about that last summer when Gaylord was cranking with both on golf course and off golf course fun. And I just want to take some time to introduce to everybody the history of the Mecca, why it's so special, and how it continues to thrive as, I think, a national model. So our guests are Kevin McKinley from Treetops Resort, Judy Mason from Michaywe Pines, JT Aude from the Gaylord Golf Club, and Paul Beachnau, who, if I understand history correctly, kind of thought this idea up a few decades ago. Is this your brainchild?
It's not my brainchild specifically. I think I was just in the right place at the right time. We had a lot of forward-thinking golf course operators and managers, and at that time, back in 1987, we got together and said, you know, we have something pretty special here. The Robert Trent Jones golf course at Treetops was built that year, but we had 6 other golf courses in the area, and we thought, you know, if we can band together, put some money in a marketing pool, let's put our name out there, you know. And the feeling today and all the way back in 1987 was that a rising tide raises all ships, and that if we can get our name out there, that we're all going to be successful. And that has been the spirit of the Gaylord Golf Mecca, the continuation of working together when you get a group of competitors saying, hey, let's think about the area first, and then we'll go and scratch for our little piece of the business. But we're not going to be successful unless we have brand recognition.
So for the three of you, and I don't know if Judy, if you've got the most seniority from the Mecca standpoint, or maybe JT, do you all remember?
I think we're pretty even.
Pretty even? Yeah.
I was doing bag drops. She was working inside at that time. But that's all right.
Well, did the three of you remember when you first heard about the concept of the Mecca, and if it struck you as odd, or if you right away saw the brilliance of it? Judy, do you remember?
I do remember. I was pretty young back then. Still am, kind of. But anyway,
How many years ago was this, Paul? 30 years?
It was a long time
30,
ago.
yeah.
But yes, I do recall it. And yes, like Paul said, there was a group of owners and operators, and certainly with Paul's assistance, coming up with this idea that it was the right time for it and in the right community, because the community cooperated so well, jumped on board so quickly, and cooperated so nicely together. A lot of owners of big places, you know, at the time that were just getting ready to go booming, and they, instead of thinking of themselves, they thought community, and they tied together, and it has been a very unique and successful, long-lasting. I mean, we've been going for decades now, and their idea has certainly blossomed Gaylord into a very unique spot for vacationers. It's a great place to live.
Yeah.
So it's been a wonderful concept that's been strong for 3 decades now.
Oh, yeah, and JT, I think about young JT in the bag room, or the bag stand, I should say, and now moving into the position of managing the Gaylord Golf Club. You've seen this partnership's benefits. Have you ever had a moment where you thought, you know, that's fine and everything, but I just wish we were on our own?
No. I mean, it's such. I mean, especially for me, I mean, I've worked at Treetops, I've worked at the big resorts, I've worked at the single resorts. So for places like Judy and I with Michaywe and Gaylord Golf Club, it's phenomenal for us because we're getting this huge marketing boost that we would never be able to get on our own. I mean, it would take a lot. I mean, we would have to dump so much money into it, it would be prohibitive for us. Whereas we pay the Mecca dues, and we're treated just the same as Treetops is in there, just the same as Garland, just the same as Black Lake, which is phenomenal for us. So we're getting all that extra media for such a wonderful price, and we're included in it. We get all the same perks and everything like that, and we're just a standalone golf course that relies on everything else. So for us, it's great. I mean, and it's great that the big resorts said, hey, we're even going to take the single golf courses and bring them in and help them also, because all together we work together and we're great. But I mean, if we were individual, yeah, we'd all be okay. But as a one group all together, it's just a phenomenal marketing package. Plus, with the golf courses we have, I mean, I would put us against anywhere else in the country with the quality of golf courses that we have.
Yeah, and here we are talking, well, there's, I don't know, half a foot of snow on the ground and skiers are everywhere. At Treetops, Kevin McKinley is trying to figure out where to put everybody and how to get more equipment to rent to them. And that's a good problem to have in the dead of winter. Meanwhile, we're looking forward to the time when the picture that's behind the three of you is what we see with the green grass and the very inviting sunsets. And Kevin, how early in the game do you start hearing from golfers that we want to get our dates, we've got our outing, we want to put our plans together? Does it happen in the dead of winter?
It happens like we're booking golf for 2022 right now.
Wow.
So, I mean, and you know, JT and Judy did a nice job of talking about their standalone golf courses and how the big helps them. But, you know, I bring another perspective to it. And we're the big resort, and they actually help us too. And Paul kind of mentioned a rising tide raises all ships. There's a lot of times where we, and your segue was great too, where we're looking at trying to get a group of 20 here, and we got one day where we don't have anywhere to put them. And it's really, really nice to be able to have the other golf courses in the Mecca and the quality golf courses, and we can figure it out into their budget as well. So if they're trying to hit a certain price point, there might be one or two golf courses that we can choose from in the Mecca. If they're trying to hit a different price point, maybe we go to a mid-range price level or whatever it is. But we can always put that package together, and you'd be surprised how many times we have a situation where we wouldn't be able to book that piece of business if it wasn't for our partners in the Mecca. And so, to answer your first question, man, if you're thinking about booking for 2021, do not wait. Do not wait. I mean, it was unbelievable. Nobody knew what was coming last year. I mean, I'm in March thinking, who's going to have to lose their job?
Well,
Am I going to lose my job?
I remember in March, I think all of you, but especially I remember hearing from you, Kevin, that you were trying to figure out how to put dividers in carts, because Treetops, for the most part, the courses are not walkable except for one of them. So you were trying to figure out how you could make this happen because there were some bizarre restrictions going on with cart. And you all were faced with this question of, are we going to have a season? Not how strong will the season be. We were all faced with that really throughout the country. And as soon as the green light was given, even in walking only, and you guys, because both Judy and JT have eminently walkable golf courses, you had to be blown away by the enthusiasm while there was, it still wasn't the peak of summer. It was still kind of iffy weather at times. What were you seeing at the golf club?
It was amazing. I mean, I saw 70-something-year-old members coming out walking the golf course.
Who'd never walked?
I've never seen walk before.
You didn't even know
They're
walked in
walking.
from their car.
They're all coming in saying, "Hey, where can I get a push cart? Where can I get a pull cart?" Because nobody could find one. I mean,
Right.
they were selling for $500-600 on eBay. And actually, the great thing that I've seen, I mean, for us, because we've got a very walkable golf course, is I've seen a lot more people walking and continuing to walk, going, hey, you know what? This was really a lot of fun. It's not that bad going out and walking. We don't always have to take a cart. And the health benefit for them, and it's great. I mean, it's great to see people out there walking again the way golf was meant to be played. But hey, I understand carts. We got to have them because when you're up here on vacation,
Right.
you want to jump in that cart and go. But I've seen a lot more members, and I think it's a great look when you see them out there doing that.
Yeah, Judy, Michaywe's always been known for being walkable and a classic golf course, but I'm guessing the volumes you were seeing maybe even surprised you.
It was definitely a learning experience for all of us last year. You know, no one saw any of it coming. Most stressful spring season preparation period of my 30-something plus years of doing this. It was, you try to figure something out, and days later it would change. So, but once everything opened up, people loved getting outdoors. People loved playing golf. We had a lot of new golfers, you know, new to the game. It was awesome to see, and I think we're going to carry that along here, and we're going to build on that. People that never played the game before that took it up last year because they looked outside and said, we got to figure out something to do out there, And so the game's going to grow because of this, one of the weird kind of spin-offs of what we've gone through. And we just enjoy seeing the volume of play that came out. We hope for the same for this year. And we hope that the new golfers love the game and stick with it.
And stick with it. That's the
Yeah.
key. So, Paul, here we are talking again in the dead of winter. How do you project what might happen in the coming summer? Not from a public policy or health standpoint, but from a travel demand standpoint. I don't know how any of you prepare for the
So,
unknown.
You know, we have been following, there's some companies out there, Longwoods International, it's one of the most, does some of the best traveler research, and I get reports, Bill, every couple of weeks regarding traveler sentiment. And so we follow traveler sentiment very closely as to what is the propensity for people to travel. And what we saw last spring was very encouraging. It continues to be encouraging for us in the Gaylord area. We have two brands, Gaylord Golf Mecca, run through the Gaylord Tourism Bureau, but our other brand is Gaylord All Outdoors. And what a perfect tagline for what's happening in our world, because what we saw, traveler sentiment, was that people wanted to get outdoors. They wanted to socially distance, but they wanted to travel. And our travel product here in Gaylord is outdoor recreation. And we saw people flocking to not only golf courses in record numbers, but we saw people wanting to get out to trails. We saw them wanting to get out to, we have over 90 small lakes. You couldn't buy kayaks, you couldn't buy stand-up paddle boards, you couldn't buy bicycles. We're the headquarters for the trail that goes from Gaylord to Mackinac City. And we saw people flocking to the outdoors like we've never seen before. So when Judy mentioned some of the positives, the silver lining for us has been a return to the outdoors, and everything we're seeing as the vaccinations continue to roll out is that people are still going to continue to want to socially distance. They're going to want to know that they're safe, but they're also going to be traveling. The numbers have been rising steadily on people that are planning on taking a trip. They're going to stay a little bit closer to home so that they're more of a drive market, which is great for us. And they're going to look for small rural communities and look for outdoor recreation. So again, that benefits areas like Gaylord and all of northern Michigan.
Now, I have a question for the three of you based on something Paul told us at dinner last night about an activity taking place in the winter called ice rafting. Winter rafting. So you get into a raft that you would normally be in during the summer, but you're going down the Ausable River now. The Sturgeon River now. I listened to some of what he said. I missed some of the other details. How many show of hands would just sign up for this in a heartbeat? Get out there. Paul's in. Kevin's. JT has lived here his whole life. He's like, I'm not going to do it. So for the benefit of our audience, what exactly is this again?
So the Sturgeon River, which begins right here in Gaylord, we have 5 major river valleys, but the Sturgeon is the fastest flowing river in the lower peninsula. And we've got a couple of outfitters that in the wintertime you get onto a 6-person raft. You're sitting quite high out of the water. You've got a guide that's telling you when to paddle. You would dress like a normal winter activity. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you see the landscape, you see wildlife, things that you'll never see in the summer. People that have done it are just literally blown away with how peaceful it is, how fun it is. There's kind of a teamwork element because you're on this raft with 5 other people, but of all of our winter promotions late last December, winter rafting was the most sought after part of our website.
So after hearing that description, JT, because no, still not. No. One of the things that I want to touch on before we wrap up is the kind of the friendship / family aspect of not just the Mecca, but the community. Yes, you're in competition, but you're also in partnership. And yet, I can remember last summer when all of these scrambling measures were underway to see what we could do, if we could do, how we could do it. You all were sharing information. You're all talking to each other. What are you guys doing over there? How are you trying to make this happen? And in the midst of all of that, Kevin, your family goes through the thing you didn't have time for, right? Which was a fire at the house.
Yep.
And I can remember talking to you shortly after that while you guys were kind of looking for where we're going to set up shop. It's a sizable family that we have here, right? So,
Big family, yeah.
And hearing you tell me about other people from the community who were calling and saying, what can we do? How can we help? I remember the general manager of one of the Mecca resorts telling me, you tell him he can stay. They can all move into one of our houses here. Can you speak to kind of the, I don't know, just kind of the beyond the business relationships that are enjoyed by this group?
Yeah, you know, it all ties together, and I can remember coming here from another resort, and kind of looking at the business aspect of it and looking where the business came from, and for the most part, a high percentage of our business comes from outside of this immediate area. But I also learned really, really quickly how much the immediate area means to us. I mean, we have to have them on our side. It's why we're so active from a charitable standpoint. You know, every single year, thousands and thousands of dollars from charity events that are played at Treetops are infused back into the community. You know, on that personal note, you know, somebody goes through a hardship or whatever it is, and me and my family were extremely fortunate to come out of a possible tragedy the way that we came out. Nobody was even close to being injured. My wife did an awesome job, but you know, there's always people out there that say, yeah, give me a call, let me know what I can do. And then there's Gaylord, and they didn't ask that question. They just did. They just gave. They just offered. And it's pretty amazing. It was the outpouring on a personal note was extremely touching. Yeah. It's changed my mindset a little bit because I've kind of been one of those people that I've always offered. I've always said, yeah, just call me, let me know. Nobody really does. Nobody asks for things typically. It's very rare that somebody actually asks. So it's changed my wife and I's mindset, I know, in just jumping into action as opposed to actually asking for permission, if you will.
Well, as we live in I think it's fair to say, kind of a cynical time, just generally. You look at the national. Come on in. You're all right. As you look at what the national attitude is, it's not generally helping others. It seems to be screaming at others and telling them why they're dumb and you're smart. It's very refreshing to come and to learn some of the stories that go on with the family of not just the Mecca but the community in general. So, the last question is, why do you think that this concept isn't applied in more regions of the country? Would it work elsewhere, or is it unique to Gaylord? I'll let you try that one, and then I'll pass the question along.
Well,
you could franchise this. It could be like the Mecca.
You know, we are the second oldest cooperative golf marketing group in the United States behind Myrtle Beach, and I don't know if it would be successful in other communities or not. Gaylord's a very special place, and as Kevin alluded to, the people here from the mid-'60s when we became the Alpine Village, it was always a community that said, we're going to jump in, we're going to do something unique. So we've had a history of people working together, supporting each other. There's not a lot of backfighting and bickering about, well, why didn't I get this or why didn't I get that? The reason I've been here so long is I love coming to work every single day. I work with some of the best people in the country, the smartest, the brightest, the most positive. They're very encouraging, and it just is a very, it's a very rewarding thing to see, people jumping in and just working together.
Yeah. Judy is the president this year of the Mecca Group. What perks does that come with? Private air travel?
I'm yet to get the write-up on that one. I call Paul every day and ask, but you know, the perk goes back to what Paul said. You know, I guess the Mecca works because it's successful. It stayed together because it works, and we have, like he said, there's people who are very cooperative together. They understand that together we're stronger. And so the concept from the beginning, there's been some times that you wonder if it was going to stick together over the many years. But in the end, the operators and the owners, the vast majority realize that this is makes us better, and it works better than being alone. So we're very proud at Michaywe to be one of the founding golf courses in the Mecca, and have supported it over the decades, and we appreciate it. And we're very thankful to Paul and his staff over 3 decades, what they do to help the whole Gaylord community and us at Michaywe for sure.
I would like to think that the days are over where you have to make the case to potential members that this is a good idea. At some point, you would hope they would catch on and think, oh, it's been around 30 years. It must be working. It can't be a fluke at that point. But so that everybody knows, each one of the courses represented here, as well as the rest of the Mecca member courses, are offering some very unique winter specials through a series that we did called Show on the Road. And everybody's got their own. I'm not going to ask you to remember the specials because we recorded those a while ago, but it's all designed to give you a leg up on booking your summertime golf schedule, your trip. So as Kevin said earlier, if you haven't done your 21 planning yet, this is not a good time to be a procrastinator because you're going to call and say, hey, we'd like to have a block of 20 on July 4th, and they're going to say, what year would you like that? Because it's not going to be for 21. So do your homework ahead of time, folks, and go to GaylordGolfMecca.com. And you can find all the courses, all the lodging options, and everything all rolled into one convenient package. So thank you to each of you for kind of giving us a little behind-the-scenes tour of the Mecca.